Talking of hit movies, Shawshank Redemption, obviously,
great movie.
one of your most, yes, everyone loves it.
In 1994, Frank Darabont wrote and directed the American prison drama film The Shawshank Redemption. While Frank was directing the film, little did he know that it would launch him into great fame and wealth. Years after the movie's release, it became everyone's favorite movie. When people discovered that the director was also the writer of the film, their respect for Frank Darabont soared. The movie stands out not only for its uniqueness and well-acted scenes, but also for its excellent storyline. The film was based on the 1982 novella by Stephen King, Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption. The movie tells the story of a banker who is sentenced to life in Shawshank State Penitentiary for taking the lives of his wife and her lover. It was a crime film, yet with a strong emotional touch. Frank's ability to write a well-structured screenplay helped the movie turn out well. Also, the fine acting of Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman, Bob Gunton, and many other cast members made the movie turn out better than expected. While The Shawshank Redemption looked perfect on screen, behind the scenes, many issues almost led to the film's end. Years after its release, many cast members have decided to spill the beans on what really happened during the making of The Shawshank Redemption that many people are not aware of. Do you want to know those secrets too? Relax. We are going to unveil it all. Get ready to explore the fights, budgets, rumors, challenges, technical and location issues that happened on the set of The Shawshank Redemption when no one was watching. Known for its superb performance, The Shawshank Redemption remains one of the American crime movies of the mid-20th century. Are you ready? Let's go. The glaring plot hole. In the movie, the glaring plot hole has always been an interesting part of the story. Little did the viewers know that it was not as unique as everyone thought. Let's explore that. One of the stars of The Shawshank Redemption, Tim Robbins, decided to reveal the truth about the plot hole. According to him, it was not a plot hole at all. Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman were both serving time in a maximum security prison when it all happened. Robbins' character, Andy Dufresne, successfully escapes from jail through a tunnel that was dug out of his cell. Unknown to everyone, Andy had known about the tunnel since, but he kept it hidden by hanging a poster. Some fans have questioned how the poster remained on the wall even after Andy had escaped. People got so curious that they even asked Morgan Freeman when the actors would reunite at the TCM Film Festival. According to Geek Vibes Nation, the question was asked, how did Andy get that poster back in place after he got into that tunnel? To this, Robbins responded, "Easy. This is so easy." He later used hand motions to explain better how it all happened. Robbins mimed pinning up the poster at the top but not at the bottom, noting, "Pinned up here at the top of the poster. Pull up here, lifting the bottom of the poster. Go underneath. Go in." With Robbins' explanation, it was revealed to all that the so-called plot hole was not a plot hole after all. Inspired by Stephen King. After the movie's release, there were many questions, especially about its similarities to Stephen King's Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Well, it's true and the rumors are correct. The Shawshank Redemption, though written and directed by Frank Darabont, was inspired by Stephen King's work. Many characters and scenes gave it all away. Robbins plays the role of Andy Dufresne, a man sentenced to life in Shawshank State Penitentiary for taking the lives of his wife and her lover, despite his claims of innocence. Also, Freeman's role as Red, a fellow prisoner Andy befriends, was inspired by Stephen King's novella. Over the course of 2 decades, Ant plots his escape, a theme similar to that in Stephen King's work. What I love about this material and the short stories out there was that it seemed to be resonant of the Stephen King who wrote The Shawshank Redemption. Hiddleston said on the Happy Sad Confused podcast, "There's a warmth and a kind of spirit that's really on the side of life in the story that I really connected to when I read it. It was just the most extraordinary script. I connected to it immediately." Later, it was discovered that Darabont had gained control of the movie after Stephen King sold the rights to the script for just $5,651. There were rumors that Stephen King never cashed the check. King framed the check and sent it back to Frank Darabont several years later, along with a note that read, "In case you ever need bail money. Love, Steve." So it was not Darabont's real work at the end of it all. He only bought another person's work and turned it into his own. The script turned out to be a fairy tale story, and it ended in The Shawshank Redemption. The hate. On many occasions, the director and cast often have issues, but on the set of The Shawshank Redemption, there was real hate between Morgan Freeman and Darabont. In clear terms, Freeman hated Darabont with great intensity. Though they tried to keep it a secret and make it look all perfect and excellent, the hatred was felt. In a retrospective for Vanity Fair, Freeman spoke about his relationship with Darabont and confirmed the rumors about their strained relationship. Most of the time, the tension was between the cast and director, he admitted. "I remember having a bad moment with the director. I had a few of those." Being asked to do countless takes wasn't for Freeman either. As he explained, "I don't want to be chewing the scenery. Acting itself isn't difficult, but having to do something again and again for no discernible reason tends to be a bit debilitating to the energy." Their relationship worsened and became irreparable till Freeman got so bitter and didn't want to talk about the movie either. Bitter Freeman actors are always eager to be associated with their movies. For Freeman, the reverse was the case. Every time conversations about the film came up, Freeman hated discussing it with passion and would always try to change the subject. His work relationship with Darabont was so bad that he decided to stop talking about the show altogether. According to Freeman, those extreme moments of tension on the set made him hate the movie more. In one interview, he was asked questions about The Shawshank Redemption, and he replied, "Let's stop talking about that one," before changing the subject. Because of his indignation, the actor had gotten so used to having a grim expression consistently that he had lost his cool. On many occasions, he made it clear to everyone that he didn't care about the movie's title. At one stage, he told Seth Meyers that he thought it was terrible, and later blamed it for the film's underperformance at the box office. "Nobody could say Shawshank Redemption. What sells anything is word of mouth," he exclaimed. Now, your friends say, "Ah man, I saw this movie, what was it? Shank, Sham, Shim, something like that. Anyways, terrific." Well, that doesn't sell you. Terrible title, Freeman said.
Title? Now let me explain.
The original title was Stephen King's book, Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, he explained. Now, don't choose Shawshank Redemption when you've got Rita Hayworth. They said when I complained, and I did, that it won't fit on the marquee. I said, so what? Just put Rita Hayworth. You've got the one sheet there, it'll say the rest of it. But they chose not to, and so it took a while to catch on. I got a lot of Shawshank Reduction, Shank-Sham. He laughed. Though the movie had an unwieldy title that made everyone think it was too ambiguous, it wasn't as bad as everyone expected. The Shawshank Redemption became an indisputable classic of modern cinema. Also, it was another proof that art can come from almost any source, and the tension and frustration that bubbles around on set was the magic ingredient needed to make it pop. An almost rejected script. Do you know that Morgan Freeman nearly rejected the Shawshank Redemption script? Oh yes, he almost did. At first, when Morgan was approached about the script for the Shawshank Redemption, he was enchanted. He fell in love with the script the first time he read it. According to reports, Morgan was tickled when his agent told him the filmmakers were interested in casting him to play Ellis Red Redding. He was going to play the role of an inmate and prison smuggler serving a life sentence who befriends the wrongfully convicted Andy Dufresne in the drama. Freeman was okay with the role. At the moment, he was not familiar with Stephen King's source material. Then someone sent me the novella. Freeman told Yahoo Entertainment during a 2014 roll recall interview, and I read the first page and read was this Irishman. So I closed the book. I never read another line. I was like, I can't play an Irishman. For Freeman, this little discovery made him lose interest in everything that was happening in the movie, but he went ahead with the movie. The truth. Despite all that happened with the movie, it got nominated. After its release, The Shawshank Redemption got nominated for 7 Academy Awards, but won none. Sounds discouraging. However, this didn't affect the people's perception of the movie. It was still considered one of the most beloved American films ever. According to IMDb, The Shawshank Redemption was seen as a top-rated movie, as voted on by millions of users. This was a distinction the show held since 2008, when it passed The Godfather. Years later, Frank Darabont admitted a truth about the movie. "I know, it's bizarre and wonderful, isn't it?" Darabont told Yahoo Entertainment in a 2016 interview. "It's a wonderful feeling. Once we had a cut of it and started doing test screenings, that proved to be the case. The people who saw it really dug it. The trick was getting people to see it. When it came out, it really didn't do well at first. There was some talk about the awkwardness of the title, that the title worked against you." The Hidden Helper. Every movie always has a hidden helper, and The Shawshank Redemption was no different. Frank Darabont credited cable mogul Ted Turner, who once owned Castle Rock, the production company behind the movie, for making the film a huge hit. Turner started airing Shawshank on TV like every 5 minutes for years because I don't think it cost him anything, the filmmaker recalled with a laugh. There was this endless opportunity for people to catch up with it on a Turner network, and so I blessed Ted Turner as well, because he played the heck out of it. The C-list actor Morgan Freeman nearly got into trouble while talking about the movie. According to Huffington Post, Morgan Freeman was so keen on talking about what makes a film successful or not, but he didn't know the difference between C-ism and misogyny. In a panel discussion, Freeman made a few statements at a conference that was seen as sexist. Freeman made those comments when he was talking about working with Producers Guild president and co-founder of his production company, Revelations Entertainment, Laurie McCreary. Freeman's uncontrolled speech and anger, which he drew from The Shawshank Redemption, were evident at the conference. According to moderator Mark Gordon, Freeman's comments were extreme and could have been misinterpreted by some. Morgan Freeman, on the other hand, responded with, "C-ist? Yeah, but I'm not misogynistic." C-ism, according to Huffington Post, is defined as discrimination against women, while misogyny is defined as the outright hatred of women. While they are two different terms, they often go hand in hand. Later, the Huffington Post reported that McCreary did not appear upset throughout the conference. However, the comment may have affected her a little, as Morgan made it when discussing his experience working with her. Though Freeman saw nothing wrong with it, many people hated his guts for making that kind of comment and admitting it publicly that it was C-ist without flinching. His actions at the conference led many people to believe his comments about the Shawshank were too bold and shouldn't have been allowed. Huffington Post claimed many of his fans expected better from him. Carefully chosen locations. While filming the movie, Frank Darabont was careful about the locations. He searched effortlessly for the right places to use. Luck was on his side, and he ended up finding the perfect location to stand in for the merciless Gothic prison. The Ohio State Reformatory opened in 1896 and had been active up until 1990 when it closed down. Due to allegations of inhumane treatment of its prisoners, the reformatory was closed down. Darabont saw this as an opportunity to film the movie there because the grim atmosphere was needed for The Shawshank Redemption to turn out well. His calculations paid off. You can't really have a place like that without there being a real sense of foreboding and despair that sinks into that stone, said Darabont. And everybody felt it. Everybody in the cast and the crew felt it. So, it was a very oppressive place to shoot a movie. People would say you feel the sadness in the place or you feel the ghosts in the place. The reformatory turned out to be a great place, as it housed its own power plant and farm. Though the farm and power plant were partially torn down shortly after filming ended, the main administration building and 2 cell blocks remained. Many of the interior shots of the specialized prison facilities, like the admittance rooms and the warden's office, were also shot in the reformatory. Also, the boarding room's interior was used by Brooks, and Red was in the administration building. The exterior shots of the boarding house were taken elsewhere. Internal scenes in the prison cell blocks were filmed on a soundstage built inside a nearby shuttered Westinghouse electric factory. Getting the locations was a lot of stress, but Darabont was not discouraged. Tanked at first. Do you know that after the movie's release, it was not well received or loved by the public? The movie only began to be recognized years after its release.
Hey, that was not a big movie right away, and I think one of the biggest criticisms was The Shawshank Redemption
was a bad title.
Let's hear Darabant's comments about it. It's interesting seeing it at this point because it's really so long ago now that, in a sense, it happened to somebody else. It feels like something from a different life or a different lifetime. So now I can watch the movie and just appreciate it as, I think, an audience member, and it's not like every shot brings back a rush of memories. I actually have to dig for those memories if I'm so inclined, but every time I watch it, I do think,
it was a beautiful script. Frank wrote a truly extraordinary script, and I would suggest anyone...
He added, and I do have an appreciation for that, but at the same time it really doesn't feel like my movie anymore. And indeed, it's not my movie. In truth, it now belongs to everybody who likes it. It belongs to whoever has an open heart for it. It really belongs to the audience now. I'm just exceptionally gratified by all of it. Grateful that the movie has hung in the way it has, but also grateful for the fact that it keeps finding a new generation of viewers, because the older generation wants to share it with their younger generations. It just kind of keeps hanging in there, and that's remarkably gratifying, you know? The fact that it's still even noticed on IMDb is amazing, let alone the fact that it's listed #1. It's surreal to me, it's mind-blowing. But it's a testament to the power of a good story that speaks to people. It speaks to those people who are willing to open their hearts to a story that wears its own heart on its sleeve. If those things line up, then you've got something that might stick around a while. I would take a moment to shift the focus back to Stephen King for having written this fantastic story in the first place, and how grateful I am that I was able to co-opt his story and turn it into this movie that everybody loves so much. The movie clearly meant a lot to Darabont. The Ticket to Fame. While many people claimed the show was bad, for Bob Gunton, it was his ticket to fame and popularity. Over the years, Bob has revealed that people only remember him for his role as the pious and corrupt Warden Norton in the Shawshank Redemption. People seem to recognize this face and my voice. I'm always surprised and delighted, Gunton said over the phone from the West Coast. He shared this experience after being singled out while traveling through airports around the world. So it turns out that Warden Norton has a lot of whiz-bang quotable lines, Gunton said. According to him, he has had different occasions when people come up to him with wry smiles and ask him if he is being obtuse. The word came from one of his infamous lines in the film when he punished Tim Robbins' character Andy Dufresne for trying to appeal his conviction for a double physical crime he says he didn't commit. He got so used to the line and quoted it so much that Bob found himself saying, "Or am I being obtuse?" will be the title of his memoir. When he was asked how it felt reflecting on his most famous role after half a century, he said, "In some ways it seems like just a short while ago, and other times I look at myself in the mirror and say, you don't look like the warden." Bob was also privileged to check the Ohio State Reformatory, where most of the prison scenes were shot. Whenever he went there, his fans followed him. He admitted that he enjoys signing autographs and even sitting in the warden's office chair during group tours of the facility. Bob Gunton ended up saying, "And it's like this is a religious experience. It was like they were visiting Fatima or Lourdes, a place where some miracle had happened. And there is a spiritual quality to the movie." The introduction of Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont had been in the industry for a very long time, but the movie was what kicked off his career. Before he directed the film, he was only called in for smaller projects, especially in the horror genre. Darabont assisted on films such as Hell Night, The Seduction, and Trancers. His first work as a director was a short film adapted from Stephen King's The Woman in the Room. Although Darabont was unhappy with how the movie turned out, it allowed him to develop a strong relationship with Stephen King. The relationship later paid off when Darabont was given the rights to Stephen King's novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption from King's different seasons. The Intruder. While Darabont was trying to get the rights to the movie, someone else wanted to buy them from him, and that's Rob Reiner. Reiner offered Darabont a budget of $2.5 million for the movies. Rob Reiner had previously adapted Stephen King's The Body, another novella from different seasons, into the 1986 film Stand By Me. In a bid to hit the jackpot, he tried his best to direct the movie and offered Darabont money, but he refused. And he said, "You can continue to defer your dreams in exchange for money. and, die without ever having done the thing you set out to do. His offer fueled Darabont's desire to make the film a success. In addition to directing the film, Darabont wrote the screenplay over 8 weeks. Gradually, he compared the story to other tall tales of Hollywood yore. In an interview on the occasion of the film's 20th anniversary in 2014, Darabont said of his process as a director, "These guys had already developed a friendship and an effortless chemistry by the time we had started shooting." Goodfellas inspiration. One secret about the movie is that Goodfellas inspired Darabont. In both films, voiceover was used. Surprisingly, they used this despite it being controversial in the movie industry at the time. Every time the strategy worked, it pulled the audience out of the story. Voiceover risks telling the audience more than showing them, and this was seen as a cardinal sin for a visual medium. Despite the strategy being risky, Darabont was surprised by how Goodfellas used voiceover to tell the story of Henry Hill, the infamous mafia figure. Watching the movie while writing the script for Shawshank helped Darabont's belief that the film should be narrated by Red, who befriends accountant Andy Dufresne in the hostile prison system. "So I started writing Shawshank, and I got really freaked out halfway through," Darabont told Creative Screenwriting in 2016. "I suddenly thought, oh my God, I'm breaking the rule. I'm going to be damned to movie hell. I'm telling instead of showing. I'm relying too much on it." As if a sign from God, I turned on cable that night, and it was the premiere of Goodfellas. And I thought, this is a really great movie and it has a lot of voiceover. It had been about a year since I had seen it in the theaters, and I sat and watched it again. And I thought, I'm a piker, man. I'm a stingy little bastard when it comes to narration, compared to these guys. Darabont also shared that he rewatched Goodfellas on VHS throughout the writing and directing of Shawshank. According to Slashfilm, the two films did a masterful job of playing with time, spanning decades as Henry Hill begins to circle the drain. The sacrifices of an actor. During the making of the film, Robbins gave a lot up just to fit into the role. In an interview, Darabont told the Daily Beast that he intentionally cast Robbins to play the role of Andy Dufresne, a man wrongly accused of taking his wife's life and incarcerated at the titular Shawshank prison. However, he also encouraged him to bring Robbins into the set. In the interview, Darabont revealed that Robbins did a lot to ensure he could play his role well. For instance, the actor put himself in solitary confinement to understand what his character was experiencing. Not overnight, though, the director explained. After an hour or two, he said, "Okay, that's enough," and I don't blame him. When it came to filming Andy's triumphant escape from Shawshank, Robbins came a lot closer to his character's experience. The sequence revealed the character crawling through a sewage pipe. And in the film's narration, Freeman's character reveals how Andy crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side. This didn't happen with Robbins. His iconic scene was filmed in the rain outside the prison, and it was not shot under sanitary conditions. It's a glorious moment, right? Everybody feels their soul being uplifted, Darabont said of the image of Robbins with his arms outstretched in the rain. Meanwhile, we were out in this horrible little creek that was filled with cow poop. They had to dam the creek to get the water level up and pour sterilizing stuff in there so Tim wouldn't get some horrible disease, the director continued. Actors can be real troopers sometimes because sliding out of that pipe into that muck was so gross. To convey that incredible moment while covered in cow urine, it's amazing Robbins sure has the director's respect. The buddy film. On many occasions, people wondered why Red and Andy's friendship turned out so well on camera. Years later, it was revealed that the two had a strong relationship, which made it very easy to build a good one.
Which you were nominated for an Academy Award. The film follows the trajectory of a friendship.
From records, when a movie features two male best friends, it's either an action or a comedy. It was very rare to see a horror film featuring a close bond between two male friends, but this happened in The Shawshank Redemption. Andy and Red had a unique and strong relationship. It took Shawshank Prison and 3 decades for the audience to understand the male protagonist's relationship fully. According to Robbins, their relationship was one of the reasons the movie struck a chord with so many people. In a 2019 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Robbins talked about Andy and Red's relationship. He said, There are very, very few films that are about the relationship, the friendship between two men that doesn't involve car chases or being charming with the ladies, and those kinds of buddy movies. This one is about a true, lasting friendship, and part of me thinks that people want or need that kind of story to be told. The bleak movie. The Shawshank Redemption is a bleak movie. Sounds surprising? But that's what the movie is. It's a dark movie, almost devoid of color, but none of that was noticed because of the storyline. The movie only brightens in tone and contrast during the film's few moments of respite. Andy Dufresne works as hard at remaining hopeful during his sentence as he does tunneling through the prison walls. For Robbins, it was something anyone could easily relate to, and this he shared with Entertainment Weekly. "I think it's a film that is about hope and about transcending whatever challenges or obstacles are in your life to become a better person." He added, "Overcoming trauma, overcoming past traumatic experiences, all of these things are things that factor into what eventually is a lack of freedom in our own lives." And something about The Shawshank Redemption talks about freedom as being something that is inside of us, and that with the proper approach to life, regardless of your circumstances, freedom is possible. Another Andy. Can you imagine what it would have been like to have someone else play the role of Andy other than Robbins? Unimaginable, right? Well, that nearly happened. In a retrospective, Vanity Fair wrote that Reiner had planned on putting Tom Cruise in the movie, but his plans failed. He got neither the actor nor the rights to the script. Cruise had just come off a massive success with Reiner and Aaron Sorkin's classic drama, A Few Good Men. When Cruise was approached about the script, he did a table read but was unwilling to work under Darabont, as it was his first film. Later, Tom Hanks and Kevin Costner were offered the role, but they passed. Hanks was busy with the lead in Forrest Gump, the film which later beat out Shawshank for Best Picture, among other awards. Costner, on the other hand, had the lead in the post-apocalyptic Waterworld. After many other actors were approached, Darabont finally turned to Tim Robbins. After seeing him in the 1990s psychological horror film Jacob's Ladder, Darabont was assured he could bring Robbins in. Robbins' entrance into the film led to the hiring of experienced cinematographer Roger Deakins, a sure-footed Greg Toland. According to Robbins, the movie was one of the best scripts he has ever read.
I love reading scripts where you know you don't have to do any work on them.
Another Red. Unfortunately, Morgan Freeman would not have been in the movie. The original novella described Red as a white Irishman. With this in mind, the director made plans to have some of his favorite actors play the role. He approached Gene Hackman and Robert Duvall for the role, but they turned him down. They were unavailable for the roles. Later, the Daily Beast reported that Harrison Ford, Paul Newman, and Clint Eastwood were considered for the role. Harrison Ford was Reiner's initial choice, just like Cruise was his first choice for Andy Dufresne, but it didn't work out. At the end of it all, Castle Rock producer Liz Glotzer suggested ignoring the novella's characterization outright and bringing in Morgan Freeman for the role. Darabont welcomed the idea and decided to bring in the actor. Robbins was also excited to work with Morgan Freeman, whom he had grown up watching on The Electric Company. Freeman was glad to be in the film.
When I read the script, it's so well done.
When he found out Castle Rock was eyeing him for Red, he recalled in the Vanity Fair piece, and I thought, wow, I control the movie. I was flabbergasted by that Christian mysticism. According to reports, the film was reported as being grounded in Christian mysticism. Andy was offered as a messianic, Christ-like figure, with Red describing him early in the film as having an aura that engulfs and protects him from Shawshank. The scene in which Andy and other inmates tear the prison roof was seen as a recreation of the Last Supper. In that scene, Andy is seen getting wine for the 12 disciples, whom Freeman describes as the lords of all creation, invoking Jesus' blessing. Director Frank Darabont responded that this was not his deliberate intention. However, he wanted people to find their own meaning in the film. The discovery of the Marriage of Figaro record was also described in the screenplay as something similar to finding the Holy Grail. This meant bringing the prisoners to a halt and causing the sick to rise in their beds. Early in the film, Warden Norton quotes Jesus Christ to describe himself to Andy, saying, "I am the light of the world," declaring himself as Andy's savior. Still, this description can also reference Lucifer, the bearer of light. The Shawshank Redemption was a horror movie, yet interesting. Frank Darabont's writing and directing made the movie unique. His ability to turn Stephen King's novella into a popular piece earns him respect from many. The film has also revealed to many that what we all see on camera is little compared to what happens behind the scenes. What can you say about the revelations? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the grand reveal of the Shawshank Redemption by the cast, hit the like button and ensure you subscribe to our channel to get more videos.